In the staff area, you can hire...
Hello everyone, welcome. Good evening or good afternoon or good morning or whenever it is you are watching this. I haven't been done stream in a while, so I hope everything will go well. There's been quite a few changes on my side in my setup between when I wasn't streaming. We're here with a first look at Dirt Rally 2.0, which was released basically today at midnight. Hello Fox, it was indeed too long. We're gonna have some quick look at how the game is. First off, I have to say I was really wondering whether to do this or not. Even at first I wasn't really following much of Dirt Rally 2.0 related stuff. I've basically been just watching a few trailers here and there, but definitely not following the development as much as I was with the original Dirt Rally, which I spent quite some time with. I have, I think, nearly 300 hours played with that game. And in 2.0 it wasn't the case because I was quite, well, let's say annoyed with how Dirt 4 turned out to be. We were promised basically the game would be pretty much Dirt Rally 2.0, but it turned out that wasn't the case after all. And most of all, it wasn't very fun to drive. The cars behaved really strangely, in my opinion. I know it's a controversial topic, and I don't really want to go into that all that much, but yeah, Dirt 4 left a very bitter aftertaste in my mouth. So I was very skeptical about Dirt Rally 2.0. I wasn't sure what to expect, and some of the stuff I saw was promising, and some of that was not as promising. It looked more like a Dirt 4, so really wasn't sure. Also, another thing I should get right out of the way is that I am really unhappy about how the release of the game turned out to be, because the first Dirt Rally was, in my mind, a stellar example of how you should be doing early access. It was absolutely perfectly done on the development team's side. We had a good few months where the game was actively developed with the community and all that, and was available for a lower price, and the price went up as the content was added. While with 2.0 it is basically the exact opposite of that. There was no early access to really speak of. There was what they call early access, was basically 4 days. 4 days ago, when the game was released in the deluxe edition. So people who paid, I think, about €30 more could access the game 4 days earlier than the rest of us could. Which I don't think is the right way to do it. But granted, there's also some season pack, so it's not just the price. The price is not just the early access, but still, I wasn't very happy about that. And it also means that many people now have seen the game through and through, and there isn't much to show or tell at this point. But well, we can still. I hope we can still learn something, and see for ourselves what the game is really about. So that's my take on the release. Also, another thing is they already announced the DLC for the game before it was even released, and the worst part of it is that it seems the DLC is basically content from the original Dirt Rally with some tweaking and remaster, I guess you might call it. And there's very little actual new content in it. At least that's what it seems right now. We'll see. And yeah, so not a great example of how you should publish and release games, I think, but I guess it works for them and they know what they are doing, and I don't really know anything much about releasing games, so who knows. So yeah, let's leave it at that. I see in the chat the question about always online. Yeah, apparently I couldn't really test it much because this is basically my first look as well. I spent about, I don't know, 20 minutes max with the game so far, and most of it was just tweaking some settings and having a basic look around to not be as confused with things on stream as I would be otherwise, I guess. But apparently it requires you to have a always online connection, at least for the carrier mode, I think, and time trial, I guess, from what I've heard, at least. And the game is supposedly checking on throughout the. It's not just at one point like it was before when you started the game. It checked if you are connected to RaceNet, and now it checks for connection continuously. So if you get disconnected, then I guess those modes become unavailable, whereas previously you could race carrier or time trial without RaceNet with no issues, except you couldn't upload your times, of course. There has been some fixes regarding the RaceNet connection, apparently, as in a quick patch that they released yesterday, I think. So supposedly it should be better now, at least when it comes to reliability, because that was one thing people were complaining about. I've seen complaints about people even losing their carrier progress entirely because of RaceNet issues. So not good, yeah, but we'll see how it goes. I guess that's the nature of the thing now in 2019. I don't like always online games either. Even with Race Room, I don't exactly like the way it is done. But yeah, it is what it is, I guess. Yeah, Davey, about preventing cheating, I don't think it works, because I've already seen screenshots of obvious cheaters having no issues with always online, so probably not working as intended in this regard. Anyway, to get started on the game itself, like I said, I had a quick look through some options and settings yesterday, so I'll quickly do that because I have some things I want to mention about that. Here in the game options, there's mostly the same stuff that was there in the original Death Rally. One thing that's kinda I don't like is the way you set your transmission mode, because you basically select it for all of the cars. And if you want to change that, you have to go into the menu. You know, if you switch between cars with I don't know, pedal shifters and H shifter, then you have to manually switch it here in the menu in the options. That I believe is accessible through the game. You don't have to jump out to the main screen at least. But still, it's kind of annoying because there's no option where you could have, for example, manual with clutch, H pattern with clutch, and manual sequential, which I think was an option in the original game. And the game was switching between the two options based on what the car had. Here you have to select only one of the options. So I'll be using manual sequential because I don't want to drive cars with sequential gearing with H shifter. I don't want to be switching constantly either, and I'm absolutely horrible with manual clutch and H shifter. So yeah, and I'm using my shifter as a handbrake actually. So. And another thing I see people asking about is the time control braking option. It's by default it's set to 5, and that's because that's what this does. Is it is basically a amount of intervention the game does when you arrive at the time control at the end of the stage. So with 5, there's basically the game takes away any control from you. With off, it should be fully up to you to stop for the marshal and for the time control. So we'll see how it works. I haven't yet tested it again. Like I said, I haven't really spent much time with the game yet. There's also the old Codemasters Classic issue of field of view settings, which again not only just because it doesn't tell you what the setting actually is. It's just some slider between narrow and wide. You have no idea what degrees it is set to, which I really don't like. I would like to have a solid idea at what my FOV is currently set at in degrees, be it horizontal or vertical. And here you really have no idea. You just have to eyeball it, really. I don't know why Codemasters don't offer the option to some kind of indicator to show you the actual degrees of field of view, but that's how they do it, and apparently they still haven't learned or haven't changed it, so we're still stuck with that. Camera shake I had to lower a lot because it wasn't very pleasant. With it was setting to maximum shake at default, I believe, and I had really some problems driving the cars with the maximum shake, so I lowered significantly. Otherwise, I don't know. Driver and wheel I have set to on now, because Dirt 4 fixed the issue where you had to turn the driver hands off to get one-to-one virtual wheel rotation, so there's no issue with that since Dirt 4. Yeah, there are now multi-platform leaderboards. That's interesting. OSD. I normally turn most of the HUD, if not all HUD, off in Dirt Rally, but I'll keep it as it is right now for the purpose of the stream. Graphics settings, I don't know if it's something that needs to be described. There's quite a few options. I have it right now. I have it as the game set it by default. I don't know if it auto detects something or not. I should say I'm running currently a Ryzen 2600 with 16 gigabytes of memory, and I'm still on my trusty old GTX 970, so I should actually turn on the performance stats so you can see later when I'm driving how the performance is. Again, like I said, this is what the game gave me. As I see brightness here, I had an issue with brightness, because if I set the brightness slider how I would set it according to these images, I don't know how it looks on stream. It probably looks, in OBS I can see it looks quite different than it looks on my actual screen. I have a calibrated monitor, so yeah. Anyway, when I set the slider where I would set it according to these images, then the game was way too dark for my taste, so not sure. I'm leaving it at default 1.0 setting. Input settings I had absolutely no issue with. Everything is was detected first time. The only thing is that the game tells you to select the, I don't know if it's, yeah, here it is, to select the type of the input device. It can't reliably detect the type of device on some of the more exotic devices, or how would you call it? So you have to manually select it, or it's better to manually select it. But other than that, no issues whatsoever. One thing that is kind of annoying, is, for me at least, is the fact that they still tell you the buttons as these numbered buttons that really don't tell you much. I don't really have an idea, or don't remember which button is button 6 on my wheel, for example. So it would be better if there was some other option to show the tooltips. But as you can see, the menu fully supports mouse, and you can click on these tips using your mouse. So that's another thing that is an improvement from the original game. What I was meaning to mention though was the wheel calibration. It's it's kind of hidden away and not obvious at first glance. I think it's here in the device options. Yeah. Here you have presets, or you can calibrate your wheel. But there's no indication that's the case. The game tells you have to calibrate your device when you start it and start configuring your wheel, but no indication of where you will find this option. You can also get to that same menu by right-clicking, which also isn't very obvious because the game doesn't really tell you that you can right-click on some of the items. So it's a bit convoluted, I think, non-intuitive, not as intuitive as it could be, I think. But yeah. Otherwise, I have some conflicts here, but you can ignore them. That's some of these you can't even resolve. I don't know why this is grayed out for me, but you can do nothing about it. You can't remove the binding. Nothing can be done. So you have to live with the conflict, but it doesn't prevent anything. Yeah, you'll just get this pop-up about conflicts. Other than that, it's really the usual, what you would expect. Force feedback, that's another topic we'll get into. But this is default settings as the game was set when it detected my wheel. So let's leave it at that. I don't even know what. Yeah, this is testing. You can test there. Device history. Don't even know what it is. Not sure if there's anything worth mentioning in audio. Yeah, I changed my equalizer to headphones and dynamic range to high, which doesn't apply audio compression, as in dynamics processing, not as in MP3 or that kind of compression. Yeah. So that's it. Now I don't want to exit the game. Somebody was asking about full game complete car list, Davy Jones, if he's still watching. If I didn't annoy him about the options menu. So here's the free play mode, which I will be focusing mostly on today, because I am mostly interested in how the game drives and compared to the original and to Dirt 4, obviously. So let's see. We can do some time trial. Here we have the countries selection. So we have Argentina, we have Australia, New Zealand, Poland, and Spain, and USA, and that's it for rally. So basically you have what, 1, 2, 3, 4 gravel rallies, and one tarmac rally, and one mixed one, which the Poland is mixed surface. I think it could be improved. Not a lot of variety. At least the countries are different from what I've seen on videos, and from my quick testing yesterday. But it's basically all gravel rallies. Snow would be nice, which is coming, but it will be Sweden, the same stages we already know from the original Dirt Rally, and it will come as a DLC, so yeah. What to say about it? Obviously there's also Rallycross, because they still have their WRX license. So what is it? Metet, Belgium. I think this is a new track. I'm not quite sure, because I don't really care much about Rallycross in dirt games. There's Canada. I won't even try to pronounce that. I don't speak French. That might also be new. I'm not sure. Then we have Silverstone in England. The French track already was in, I believe, both the original Dirt Rally and Dirt 4. Hell was definitely in both. Montalegre in Portugal was, I believe, in Dirt 4. At least. This one again I'm not really sure about. And this track was definitely also in both Dirt Rally and Dirt 4, as far as I remember. So yeah, there's more tracks available for Rallycross if that's what you prefer. But like I said, I don't really care all that much for Rallycross. It can be fun at times, but it's not something I would gravitate towards all that much. So let's do some. Let's try New Zealand. I was testing it yesterday, so let's. Oh, cars, right? But yeah, we will get to that here. I'm still not very familiar with the menus, but yeah, we get to car selection after this. So this is the long stage again. Apparently the stages are done in the same way that was in Dirt Rally, where you have one or maybe two long stages per country, and then the shorter stages are portions of those long stages, and you also have reversed. You can race them in the reverse direction. So Ocean Beach, why not? I'll leave the conditions at clear daytime right now, and let's take a look at the cars. So there's the classic Mini Cooper. There's I am not really familiar with this car. There's the Lancia Fulvia, Volkswagen Golf front-wheel drive, Peugeot 205. There's the classic Ford Escort Mark II, the Alpine, which was available in Dirt. In the original Dirt, it was Dirt Rally. It was one of my favorite cars of the Hysterics. I'm not sure if the Opel is some kind of pre-order bonus, or I think I saw some mentions, but I'm not sure. I think it was by default available. It might be both. There's the BMW. It's a lot of fun as far as rear-wheel drive cars are concerned. The Opel Ascona, my favorite Lancia, Stratos. This car is a lot of fun as well. Renault 5 Turbo. There's a new car, the Datsun or Nissan. I don't think it was available in any of the previous games. The classic Sierra Cosworth. Then we're up to Group B in the obvious Audi Quattro. The 205. Lancia Delta S4. Ford RS200. And the Metro. The only naturally aspirated Group B car, if I remember correctly. And then we're already up to the modern cars. These are front-wheel drives. So they were in Dirt 4, if I remember correctly. Not sure about the Peugeot, but might have been. Like I said, I didn't spend much time with Dirt 4. And I just couldn't enjoy the game, so I'm a bit hazy about what was available in that game and what wasn't. Yeah, the Evo 6, the old classic Impreza, Lancia Delta Integrale, Escort Cosworth, and then we are to N4 category where we have the WRX STI. That car was probably my favorite in Dirt 4 because its handling, I think, wasn't as broken as the other cars, so I spent quite a lot of time with that. So that was a fun car. Then there's the Evo 10 and the R5 cars, the Fiesta, Peugeot, Mitsubishi, a new edition, and obviously my preferred car for national reasons, or how would you say it? The Skoda, or Skoda if you want the English pronunciation. An ugly Citroen. And Volkswagen, and yeah, there are also some V8 cars for some reason. It's an interesting choice. I believe these cars don't drive rally usually, but here they are presented as rally cars. It can be fun. We'll see about that. There's the Ford and the Aston Martin from the same category, and the Porsche is a pre-order bonus that I believe should also be later available as a DLC, but right now it's only if you pre-order the game. Yeah, so I'll finally do some driving. I think I will go with the where is it? Yeah, the classic Escort Mark II, because I want to see how the rear-wheel drive cars behave in the game. They were the most broken in Dirt 4. They really didn't behave like rear-wheel drive at all, so we'll see how it feels in Dirt Rally 2.0. You can see the so yeah, quickly here we have now a choice of tires. So yeah, there can be some strategy. Obviously, doesn't play as big part when it comes to longevity of the tire in time trial, but in rallies it can play a big part. Whether you go with a softer tire that doesn't last as long, or if you choose a harder tire that obviously will last longer. I'll keep it at medium for now. There are also some usual tuning options. I'll maybe try some basic tweaks later if I want to see how the cars respond to that, but I won't bother with that right now. The GT category, as I understand it, they are real cars, except they are not used in the rally configuration normally. So you can say it is a fantasy category, but the cars are real. It's just their, I guess, rally iteration isn't. Or I should probably say may not be real, because I don't have enough information to be sure whether or not they might possibly race in that setup in some sort of cup or something. But let's go driving. So. Yeah, one issue I have to mention before I get started is that they still haven't really changed the options to set the view as well as you would need, and the issue is, which isn't really you can't really see it here with this car in particular, but often it can be quite challenging to set your view so you have the at least somewhat correct FOV, and still see the instrument cluster and the gear indicator or shift lights, which is the two most important instruments you want to see. So a lot of time you have a hard time setting it up, because the cockpits are made for the default FOV and default seating position, and if the more you deviate from that setting, the more trouble you obviously have. So, and it's even more complicated due to the fact that in the cockpit view, which I'm obviously using right now, you don't have certain HUD elements available. So you don't have the ref meter and the gear indicator, which you do have if you... where did I set my camera? Here it is. Yeah, this is the dashboard view, which is close to cockpit view, and you can see on the right there you have the gear indicator and all that stuff. But the problem with the dashboard view is that you don't have the wheel visible, and more importantly, the FOV adjustments don't apply in this view. So if you want to use custom FOV, you're out of luck. This view has a fixed FOV, so you can't change it. And if you switch to the classic cockpit view, then the FOV adjustments are applied. but you lose that instrument cluster on the right. You can't turn it on, it's always off in this view. I don't understand why. They've done it in Dirt Rally, they've done it in Dirt 4, and yeah, really don't understand why we can't have the option to turn it on, but they decided to do it that way and still haven't changed it, even in this game. So that's kind of annoying. I was in the original Dirt Rally. I was using external dashboard on my phone to work around this issue, to have the view that I would want to have set, and still see my gear indicator and stuff like that. So it's stupid in my opinion, but what can you do? Plus, when it comes to seat adjustment, the up and down adjustment doesn't really make much sense, and most of the time I would like to go lower, but I'm now pushing the button to go down with the seat, but this is as low as it goes. You can't go any lower, you can only go a bit higher, and again this is the maximum you can move. So that's, yeah, might as well not be there at all. I don't see doesn't help much. I would like to go lower than this, but I can't. So anyway, let's finally drive.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Flat crest 30, crest and don't cut 3 right long tightens. Into 3 left over crest long tightens. 30, 3 right long, tightens over crest 30.
And right off the bat I can tell you that this definitely is a big change compared to Dirt 4.
To keep middle of a crest.
Yeah, I really shouldn't be talking and driving at the same time.
Into 2 right long, tightens don't cut. Opens.
Ah, come on.
Into 6 left. Into 2 right long, tightens don't cut. Opens.
A great first impression.
Into cut 5 left. Into 3 right long, 5 left. Into 6 right long, opens over crest 30.
The car is quite a bit more tail happy than you would expect, maybe, even off throttle.
Right long, opens.
So it can be quite tricky to
Opens.
find the balance.
Into 5 right, slow 30, open hairpin left. Into open hairpin right. Opens 30.
Yeah, don't expect great driving
Opens over
in this stream.
Into 5 left long of a crest.
Should have warned you right before I started.
2 right tightens. 30, don't cut, open hairpin left. Into 4 right. Caution 30, 2 right long tightens. Into 4 left of a crest, long tightens.
I'm not sure about track IR. I've heard it works in the game,
Into 4 left.
but I'm not sure about how it works in
6 left of a crest,
and
long. Into 2 right long.
which view does it support or doesn't. I didn't even have my track IR, or rather open track, when I was
3 right long.
playing
Open hairpin left.
the original the most, so I don't have much experience with track IR in the rally games.
4 left, into 3 right long tightens.
I thought about setting it up for the stream and to test it, but I didn't have enough time. I'm also on a new OS installation where I didn't have the necessary drivers installed and all that, so I didn't bother. I had about 10 minutes to set it up. But apparently it works with the game, at least in some views, which is good.
Opens, 6 left, into 4 right tightens, into 5 left, and 2 right.
But yeah, this is completely different from Dirt 4.
Into 4 left, and 3 right. Opens over crest through.
The escort in Dirt 4 was driving and handling very weirdly. It was acting more like a front-wheel drive car, where you if you stepped on the gas, then it basically straightened itself up instead of acting like a proper rear-wheel drive car on a loose surface. So that is obviously a big difference here. Already you can tell that this is much closer to the original Dirt Rally than it is to Dirt 4, which is a good thing in my eye. That means I will certainly spend a lot more time with this game.
Into 5 left and 3 right long, tightens over.
You can easily steer the car through the corners with the throttle, which was almost impossible to do in Dirt 4.
Into 2 right tightens, opens long of a crest, 30.
It snaps on you at times, as you can see, but
open hairpin left.
I can't really comment on whether it is expected or not. I'm guessing
30.
It's fairly accurate.
6 left over crest, 30. Open hairpin left.
Yeah, I'm using the T300.
Into 2 right. Into 5 left. Into 3 right long finish.
And
30 to stop.
I'm also using my G27 pedals connected via the Bodner USB adapter, and also a G25 shifter, again connected via USB Bodner adapter. So that's my setup. Is there some kind of replay? Oh, here it is.
Opens.
Oh, that music is pretty loud. Can we turn it down somehow?
Into cut, 5 left.
I guess not.
Into 3 right long, 5 left. Left long, tightens 3. Into 4.
Graphically, I really can't say much about it. It looks good. Might not be as big of a difference compared to the original, but still, you can clearly see the vegetation and all that is much denser. There's more track detail. Also, there should be the track deformation, so the track surface should be somewhat dynamic. And again, that's not even the highest setting.
30, 2 right long tightens.
No issues with the graphics whatsoever.
Long tightens.
And again, I have to stress I'm running the aging GTX 970, so people with, as you can see, I'm at 4 gigs of VRAM, which is never a good sign on the GTX 970, as you really shouldn't go above 3.5, so there's some frame rate dips. I might need to lower the texture quality a bit afterwards, but right now I won't bother with that. It performs okay, and the GPU usage is mostly fine still. So also have to bear in mind that I'm streaming and recording using the NVEnc. So
into 3 right long tighten.
There's a bit of performance lost in that as well. Is there the option to turn the music? Ah, yeah. Ah, that's much better. It probably sounds different on stream, but because the audio levels are vastly different for stream, but on my end it was very loud. Still, I will return to the main menu to get rid of the music. And because we have to also talk a bit about the elephant in the room, which is the force feedback. And from what I've experienced so far, it's really a mixed bag. I've seen people mention that the force feedback is broken completely. I've seen people say that it's perfectly fine, and they don't understand what everyone is complaining about. Part of the issue probably is that it might behave differently on various wheels. So what I'm experiencing on my T300 might not be what, say, people with Logitech G27 or 29 are experiencing. But I would actually go with both options. I would say not that it is exactly broken, but it is very, very unexpected in the way it works right now, which is it gives you a a lot of information about what the car is doing. The self-centering forces and all that work just fine. You can feel grip and all that, but there's not much beyond that. You don't really feel the road at all, or the surface of the track. No rats or anything. You don't feel jumps when the car lands or anything like that. You could tweak it a lot in the original Dirt Rally, but here it seems like, at least with the default settings I now have, there's really not much of that. And I've also very quickly tried the supposed fix that is making its way around the internet, and I would really advise people to not use that if they also keep their force feedback settings at the default levels. I mean, where is it? Especially the self-aligning torque. If you are anywhere close to these settings, then really don't try the fix. It claims that you should set the force feedback force in the XML file to something like 5. I've seen claims that the default is 10. It is for the T300 it's set to 0.9. So the reasoning was that it is set unreasonably low for the wheel. That is not the case. Whoever claimed that default is 10 didn't read the file where you make the settings, the adjustments, because it clearly states that the default setting is 1, not 10. So I guess somebody missed a decimal point when they were looking into the file. So 0.9 is just 1/10 below the default value. And if you set the force feedback in the file to 5 and then start the game with these default settings, then you will get absolutely horrible experience regarding force feedback. It will be overwhelmingly strong. The wheel will snap at you at weird times and do really weird stuff, and most importantly, you will be always wrestling with it and definitely not doing it any favors in regards of its hardware. So I really, if you plan on testing that fix, then be sure to lower the in-game settings before that a lot, and I mean a lot. I think one of the people who suggested the fix has apparently the self-aligning torque set at 6 out of 100, so that should tell you something. But apart from that, I really didn't have much time to test it, so I will see what can be done about that. But with default settings, that fix is definitely not a good idea. You will be risking your wheel, literally, if you do that. So hopefully they will improve the road feel and all that. I'm not sure why I don't miss the engine rumble option, but why is there tire slip grayed out? I have no idea. One thing we might also notice is that the individual settings have no explanation at all. They don't tell you what they do. It was a thing in the original Dirt Rally as well as in Dirt 4, but here you don't see anything. No explanation. You just have this generic overall description here, but the individual settings, nothing. You can somewhat guess what they do, but really, what should I raise or lower if I want more road feel? No idea. They don't tell you if there is even something to do about that in the game right now. But yeah, the road feel is definitely missing a lot, and the suspension working, and now I don't want to. This menu confuses me. I always think there's one more level to it, and it's already at the top level. Yeah, the only thing, funnily enough, the only thing that you can really feel with your wheel when you drive is the cattle grates that are on some stages. When you drive over them, you can definitely feel them in the wheel, but that's the only thing. Rocks or ruts or anything like that on the road or jumps, like I said, nothing. Maybe some slight, very slight force is generated when you jump, but other than that, really not much else. So let's drive some more. Let's try Poland this time. Oh no, let's go with some shorter stage again. Let's try this. Any suggestions for the car? I would probably go with something. Yeah, if you have any suggestions what I should try to drive, because then feel free to mention it, and I'll do my best. I think we'll go with the classic, which is also a car I know fairly well. It was very hard in Dirt 4 to get these cars to oversteer. So let's see how they do in Dirt Rally 2.0. Yeah, see, and this is where the limited seat adjustments come in, combined with the FOV I'm using fairly narrow. Because if I would probably want something like this to feel okay, and I can go any lower than this. I can only go higher, and I don't see any gear indicator, so I have to move quite a bit to the back, which doesn't exactly feel natural for me, but that's the only option I have currently. So
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Flat left, 50, turn 6 right of a crest, 6 left, 50, flat middle of a crest, 80, keep middle of a jump, 50, 4 right narrow, 80. Keep middle of a jump, 50. 6 left over jump long, tightens over crest, jump. 120. Keep right into 5 left long, narrow over bump.
yeah, the frame rate is slightly dipping.
80.
I've seen the suggestions in the chat, thank you. I will try that later. I think I won't bother with it right now. But it's quite clear the graphics performance can be improved.
Tightens of a crest, 50. Don't cut for left.
Yeah, but the car, again, it feels
30.
much better than it did in Dirt 4.
6 right of a crest, opens extra
Feels more natural. The rear end of the car is much more alive than it was in Dirt 4.
Into 3 right of a crest, bump. Into 4 left long, into turn 1 right.
Oops.
Opens long, tarmac. Don't cut through bales. Keep right of a 30, turn, 1 right. Opens of a crest, gravel. 50, 5 left.
Oops, that was a bit too much.
Right of a crest.
Tried pulling the handbrake.
Opens long, tightens of a jump. Into 5 left of a crest, tightens very long into 6 right, 50. 4 right, extra long, opens flat of a crest, into 6 left. Into 6 right, into caution, 5 left of a jump, 50. 6 left, very long, tightens of a bump, 50. 4 right long. Into slow, 6 left of a crest.
I'm trying to do my best and not crash.
30. 6 left, 100.
Yeah, you can step out the rear with the throttle.
Tightens
Not as much as with the rear-wheel drive Escort, but definitely
left of a crest. Extra long.
still can, which again you almost couldn't do in Dirt 4.
Jump into 3 left long, tightens. 80. Right of a crest, extra long, 30. 3 right long, opens 80.
One thing that probably doesn't need mentioning, but I'll mention it nevertheless, is obviously the audio. I think
4 right long,
there was no doubt about the audio in the previous games being
4 right,
very good, but I think they've outdone themselves this time from what I've heard so far.
into 5 left, tightens.
It is very nice.
4 right long, of a junction, middle. 6 left, extra long, 170. Caution, 5 right long, tightens 4. Slow 50, turn unseen, 1 right. Opens, extra long of a crest.
That was unseen indeed.
4 left, extra long, tightens turn, 5 left, opens 8.
One thing I'm noticing that's kind of strange is, I'm not sure if it is visible on stream,
Left at bail,
but the driver hands and the steering wheel animation is not really smooth.
don't cut 3 right,
Oh,
left, 1 right, tightens around bail, cobbles, 30, 1 right, don't cut 2 left, 40,
nice.
2 left around bail tarmac, 160, over finish,
Oops, not as nice. It's not really that smooth, and there's also some kind of lag. But if you notice, it looks like it's running at a lower frame rate than the rest of the image. Not sure if it is noticeable on stream, but it is definitely very noticeable on my screen here. That's kind of interesting. Maybe we'll try some tweaks, because the frame rate in the 40s annoys me. But it's probably mostly due to the texture RAM usage. Again, on the 970 you really shouldn't go above 3.5 gigabytes, because the last 500 megs are some kind of slow RAM. I know there was some controversy around that. So, and when you reach over the 3.5 limit, then you can experience some serious frame drops. So probably I should tweak the texture detail, but that would also likely require restarting the game, so I wouldn't do it right now. RS200, E30, well, those are both very interesting options. let's see what we can do. So what was it? What was the suggestions? Ambient occlusions. Where are they? Oh, here. Let's see, medium. Bloom, we can probably turn off bloom as well. I don't care much for it. Let's keep it at replay. And motion blur, yeah. We can definitely turn off motion blur. Let's see if it did something, and hopefully without restarting the game. So E30 or RS200, well. What are our options here? I would try one of them. I think I'll go with Australia here. Oh, let's do it in the rain. Because driving a car that is completely bonkers is not enough, obviously. It is also a mixed surface, so there is more mixed surface than just Poland, apparently. Let's do the BMW here. Where is it? Here it is. Should have looked at some livery options, but well. Also, I just noticed one thing I should mention, that if you see frame rate locked at 60 FPS, it's because I'm using a frame rate limiter, so it cannot physically go over 60 even if the game would be able to run at more. I'm using VSync off and limiter at 60 for this game. I generally lately aim at 120 in sims, but this is obviously not doable on my setup with the GTX 970 for this game, so 60 it is, and well. So let's see. Again, I would be hiding my gear indicator if I went with the seat where I would like to. So let's hope something like this.
5.
This will be interesting.
3, 2, 1, go. 50. 6 left 30. Turn square right. Into 3 left long. Opens over crest. Into 5 right long, tightens 2, opens over crest, into 4 left.
Yeah, there's quite a significant lag now on the steering wheel. Visually, the input still responds accordingly, but the visual steering wheel is quite laggy.
Right of a crest long,
not sure why exactly.
5 left long.
But as long as it is only visual, you can certainly live with that.
Gravel, flat middle of a jump, 80. Grid and 3 right long.
Kettlegert, yeah.
3 left long.
The big bump in the wheel.
Crest, a jump through narrow gate, into 4 right long.
But other than that,
opens.
Nothing much. Yeah, these bumps, nothing.
Middle of a very long crest.
I can feel the car self-aligning torque and all that just fine, and it's nice.
6 right of a long crest.
But
Into 5 left long.
the road I can't really feel anything. So that's definitely an issue with the force feedback.
Into 6 left long.
Maybe on some wheels it is better, like I said.
5 right of a crest.
I obviously can only
2 left.
talk about what I feel here right now with my setup, but
Into 6 right.
yeah. Cattle garret again.
Tightens. Into 3 right.
Oops!
30. 5 left.
Managed to break in time.
30. Flat middle of a jump. 30.
It's a bit dark. I'll try turning the lights on if it will help.
6 left.
Oh, it didn't.
30. 1 left.
Oops. But it did help me go over.
Into 6 right of a crest. Into 3 left. Into 5 right long of a crest. Tightens 3.
Yeah, the frame rate is still not great. Maybe it
Into 5 left.
needs a restart even for those options.
Crest. Into 4 left long.
If I remember correctly, Codemasters games often need restart
Long.
for applying their settings, graphics settings properly, so
Into 4 left. Tightens of a crest. Into 5 right. 6 left.
yeah, it's very dark here.
Keep left of a jump into 6 right. 30. Into keep middle of a crest. Into 3 right. Tightens of a crest. Into 5 left. 5 right.
Oops. Yeah, it's not easy.
Middle of a crest. 40. 3 left of a crest. Extra long. 50. 5 right of a crest to keep middle of a jump. 30. Slow 6 right of a crest into 1 left. Into 2 right long, tighten square right of a crest. Into 1 left long, tightens. 60 over finish, into 6 right of a crest, 30 to stop.
It is definitely a lot of fun, I can tell you that. But it's hard. And normally there should be about 30 seconds lag, I believe, but it might be worse. I don't know. I haven't streamed in a while, like I've said. It's been a few months, so maybe there were some changes. Maybe there's some setting I should change to have chat respond more quickly, but again, I didn't want to bother with that for a single stream. I'll do something you should never do, I think. Let's try Argentina. And let's try... Oh, you can't. So is it like I believe in Dirt 4 you only have had a certain time of days available for certain stages, or dusk is dusk meant to be night? So let's try something else then.
In custom, you can race your way, creating custom events and championships. You can play custom solo against AI, or you can set up a public lobby and pit yourself against other players. In this mode, you will be able to fine-tune your Dirt Rally 2.0 experience.
Here's the surface degradation settings. Not very clear on what each of the options does. I mean, full. What's the difference between full and authentic? No idea. What does optimal mean? It probably means optimal racing conditions, I guess. Let's try authentic. Let's do the Group B. I would like to set it to dusk but dry surface, but I don't think that is an option or edit stage. Ah, here it is. Is it set to that? Yeah. Let's do this. And we'll go with that RS200. Not a good idea, but let's see. I will do tarmac after that, yeah. I have a special thing in mind for tarmac, so I will go do that after we do this. Not sure what the frame rate will be like. I'm worried that it will be worse as far as frame rate is concerned due to the lighting. This doesn't look very good. The depth of field or whatever
30,
it is supposed to be.
Keep right of a jump, maybe into 6 left. Good luck. Five, 4.
This will be
2.
interesting.
Go. 34 left.
Oh my god.
Keep right of a jump, maybe into 6 left.
And it's a right-hand drive car as well. I hate right-hand drive.
Unseen 1 right. Opens. Keep right over 80. Unseen 4 left. 30.
Surprisingly enough, the frame rate is okay.
Over bumps. Caution. 1 left unseen.
But one thing I can definitely notice is that
Hairpin right narrow. Into 5 left. 30.
is that
Into 3 left. Into 2 right tightens.
the headlights don't cast very much
30. Cut.
dynamic shadows. Definitely nowhere near what they used to do in
Left of a 30.
that rally.
Four right.
I know they
Four left. Into unseen. One right. Small cut.
downgraded it for Dirt 4.
Keep right of a 30.
It seems like the downgrade is still happening here.
Into unseen. Hairpin right. Opens. Into 4 right. Into unseen. Open.
Oops.
Hairpin left. Opens.
This was a bad idea.
Open hairpin right. Opens. Into 3 right of a crest. Into 4 left. Into 1 right tightens.
Ah! The car is on the left, not on the right.
Keep right of a 30. 3 left long. Tightens 2. Opens over crest. Into 5 left. Into 4 right. Into 4 left long bumpy. 30.
This is not the best stage for this car.
Slow 2 right long. Tightens into open hairpin left. Into 4 right over bump. Into caution, 5 left, 30 over bad bumps, unseen hairpin right.
This will take a lot of practice.
30. 6
Oh.
right, 50. Caution, keep right, don't cut 5 left. 30. Crest and 1 left long, tightens hairpin left. Into 5 right. Into don't cut 5 left, into 1 right, 30, keep left of a crest bump, into 1 right tightens, 50 over
Should really be using handbrake, but I'm trying to keep
30,
in
3 left, 30,
in accordance with how the cars were run
2 right,
back in the day. And they didn't feature any handbrake, because I believe they would just stall if you used handbrake in them.
right long, opens,
They do have a working handbrake in game, as they did in
jump,
the
into
previous games.
into slow, 6 right,
But
very long of a crest,
I
tighten,
just try to not use it,
don't cut,
but it would really come handy, no pun intended, at this stage.
crest,
Yeah, I almost grabbed it now.
into 4 right, 50, turn 4 left long tightens, 30, keep right of a junction, into 4 left, and don't cut 3 left,
Are we there yet?
1 right, into 6 left, 50,
No.
6 right, 30, 3 left, very long, opens, tightens 1, 50, 5 right,
Oops.
into 4 left, 4 right over finish, opens 30 to stop.
Well, that was interesting.
We have some spare time on this road section. Let's check the car and tyres.
Yeah, also, as I hear the co-driver, one thing people mentioned was that the co-driver is now speaking more clearly, and that they liked the radio effect on the original. The original Dirt Rally more. I'm not sure. I think it might just be slightly different equipment used. Because as far as I know, they used the same way of recording the co-driver calls.
Start 60, open hairpin right tightens, into 1 left, extra long. Good luck.
As in that they again strapped him into the demotion rig and used the actual rally equipment to record bass notes, the microphone in the helmet and stuff like that. So yeah, it might be just that they used a slightly different, I don't know, brand, or maybe the equipment was improved between the two games. Because obviously the point of co-driver is to hear him as clearly as possible. So I guess it might make sense that they would the audio in the cars in real life would also want it to be as clear as possible. So who knows?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 60, open hairpin right, tightens. Into 1 left, extra long. Into 1 right, tightens. Opens, extra long. Into 2 left.
This is horrible.
Extra long, tightens 1. Into 2 right, tightens. Into unseen, hairpin left, don't cut. Into 1 right, tightens. Into don't cut, 6 left. Into 3 right over crest, 30. Keep right, into 4 left, opens extra long, tightens 1. Into don't cut, 1 right.
Oh no.
Into 5 left. 6 right, 30, unseen, hairpin right.
Argentina, Dark Souls of rally stages. To use the cliche.
Open 6 long, over crest, sudden, 1 left. Tightens over crest, narrow. 2 right, don't cut. Into 2 left, tightens. Into 6 right.
As I'm thinking about how to approach the hairpins and how I should improve, mostly. One thing that's worth mentioning is that the cars definitely seem noticeably heavier than they were in the original Dirt Rally, which is a good thing because they definitely felt very light.
And keep right into 1 left, don't cut.
There wasn't much momentum in them this time around. It's definitely improved. Plus, there were some concerns about the moon gravity that was especially noticeable in Finland, in the original Dirt Rally, where the cars were more flying over the crests than actually driving. This doesn't seem to be the case here, which again is a good thing, so that's a solid improvement. My original feeling yesterday when I had the first quick run was that the cars might be a bit too understeer still, just like they were in Dirt 4, but the more I drive it now, oops, and off we go.
Into 1 left.
Yeah, That wasn't very surprising. But at least you can see you can actually lose the run completely if you're not careful. Definitely finished. Awkward silence in the paddock. I'll go back to the time trial and we'll try the tarmac rally. Let's do the longer stage. Why not? I will do it in the dry, just to be sure. And I will take, where is it? Ah, here it is. How about some liveries? Not much of a choice. Let's go with this one. And let's see how the starters handles on tarmac. And also how the tarmac feels. But I never really had that big of an issue with tarmac in dirt rally, unlike many other people. And I think the handling was one improvement I will give to Dirt 4. That the tarmac handling was still better than in Dirt Rally. So it should go fine, I think. Let's see.
5, 4, 3.
Ah, that sound.
1, go. 6.
Oh yes.
3 left. 150. 2 left. Extra long. Tightens.
That's just beautiful.
Into 3 right. Don't cut.
This not so much.
Into 5 right long. Opens 30. 2 right long. Into 3 left. 30. 4 left. Don't cut 1 right. Opens over crest. Into 2 right. Don't cut 2 left long. Opens and tightens. Into 5 right over crest. Extra long. Caution. Tightens 2 long. Into 6 right. Into 2 left long. Opens over crest. 6 right. Into cut 5 left. Opens 150. 2 right. Opens 4. Extra long. 50. 4 left tightens 3 over bridge. 30. 4 left long. Opens into 5 right. 100. Narrow 4 right. Into short 6 left. 40. 4 right. Opens 6. And crest into 2 left. Don't cut. Into 5 right long. 3 left long. Tightens 2. Opens 6 long of a crest. Into 1 right long. Opens 30. Small cut. 3 left long. Into 3 right long of a crest. Into 4 left. Into 4 right. Into 4 left long. Into 5 right. Into cut 3 left long. Into 5 right of a crest. Into cut 5 left.
A bit too much.
Opens 50. 3 right. Cut 5 left. Into 6 right of a crest. Into 4 left long. Small cut. 50. 3 right long. Opens into cut 4 left. 4 right. Into 3 left. Tighten a small cut. Into keep right over 50. 4 right. 100. 5 left. Cut late. Extra long. 30. Early. 5 right of a crest. Cut 6 left. 50. 6 right long. Cut 6 left. Into 6 right. Cut 4 left. Into 6 right. Cut 6 left. 5 right. Into 5 left of a crest. Into 6 right long. 30. 4 left, big cut. Into 7, 3 right. Into 4 left, 30. 2 right, tightens. Into 2 left, extra long, opens 120. Crest, into 3 right long, tightens. Into cut, 5 left. Into 3 right, extra long of a crest, 50.
Yeah.
Left long, into 5 right, into 4 left long, 80. Small cut, 6 left, into 3 right, extra long, tightens, 30. 6 left, extra long, tightens 4, 30, 5 right long, caution 30, 1 right. Then don't cut, 3 left long, slow 50, turn, hairpin right. 300.
The famous hairpin.
5 right, into don't cut, 3 left tightens.
Which obviously the stages are once again
3 left,
recreations of real life stages, just like they were in Dirt Rally.
into 6 right long,
Which is actually one thing I would miss from Dirt 4.
into 3 right, into 5 left.
The generated stages. I think that's a technology that has a lot of promise, even if the implementation in Dirt 4 was not exactly the best. So it's kind of sad to see it go. But it would be ideal if they could find some compromise, possibly, where they would do some pre-designed stages like this and complement them with generated ones. That would be ideal, especially for the online racing, for the challenges and stuff like that. But I guess the answer to that is money, so for now it's either one or the other.
Into 5 right long.
Also, speaking of online racing, which is a shame, is the fact that apparently the league racing options and stuff like that isn't currently in the game and will come later. Took about 6 months for it to arrive to Dirt 4. Hopefully this time it will take less, because it is a bummer. It was a big part of why Dirt Rally was so much fun. Various community races and challenges certainly added a lot of content to it, even if you were running the same stages over and over. So fingers crossed.
Into 3 left tightens. right, extra long, opens, into 6 left, into 6 right long, into 4 left, extra long, opens, keep middle of a 30, 6 left, into 5 right, extra long, tightens, 100. 4 right.
That sound is simply amazing. Although a bit loud, but amazing, nevertheless.
80. Flat right of a crest, into 5 left, 40, 3 left tightens.
I have to admit I'm not even listening to the co-driver.
Into 5 left long,
So
50,
I have some excuse of
caution 30,
why my driving might be suboptimal, at least at times.
30,
But I'm trying my best anyway.
into 3 right, tightens of a finish,
Yeah, that was fun. Definitely a great combo. So the tarmac handling, I think I don't really have issues with that. It's not ideal, and I think Jimmy Broadbent mentioned that it feels like a different kind of tarmac, a different kind of gravel, which I can see. I can see where he's coming from. I guess it might be set like that it doesn't exactly feel like tarmac, but I really don't have an issue with that as big as some people might have, from what I've seen at least. Oh, it's fun to drive, and that's the most important thing for me. I'm not always. I don't have to have the most realistic car handling possible, as long as it is still fun to drive, which Dirt 4 for me wasn't. It was more on the tarmac, speaking of tarmac, but still I couldn't really enjoy it. But at least judging on this combo I've just driven, it's definitely a lot of fun. So maybe they could add some tarmac stages later to be able to drive a bit more than just Spain. Just for the heck of it, how are we doing? Oh, not that bad. How many people are there? 162, so that's actually pretty good. I guess the real aliens didn't start playing it, or they couldn't be bothered with time trial. But what might we try? Let's do some. No, not this. Let's do some rallycross. Like I said, I don't care much for it, but we can. Cross kart. Oh, they still. Let's go with the full supercars. Let's go with the Fiesta. Is it a masterpiece? I'd say it is a piece. Not sure if master. I'll do the rallycross and then I'll try to put some final thoughts on the first look at least.
Use the Joker lap to your advantage. You only need to take it once. If you miss it, you'll get a time penalty. Watch the inside curb in turn 1.
I always had issues with the AI in the rallycross events in
Get ready for the line.
dirt games before.
Go, go, go.
Yeah, and also with visibility. This is horrible.
Showing consistent pace. Now let's see if we can use the clear track ahead to improve.
It would probably help if I remember
Try and keep
the
up to the car ahead.
the track layout. I have no idea where I'm going. No. This was a bad idea. We should go back to Argentina and RS200. That was better. Oh, not another Joker. Yeah. It's angry. That was horrible. Let's see if the second one goes a bit better.
Ready to race. Watch your launch. Go, go, go!
Oh yeah, that reminds me. One thing I was always missing in Rallycross in dirt games was virtual mirror, but I guess they still didn't include it.
Right, push into that clear
But
space.
it would really come in handy.
Try to follow the car ahead. You need to keep within striking distance.
Cars have too many gears.
Try and close up to the car ahead. I reckon we need another 2 seconds to improve on this position, so keep pushing.
Well, that was at least somewhat better. I think I'll do one more and I will not finish the whole race. I think there was six heats, as they call it, I believe. No repairs. I believe the rear view mirror issue is the same as with the other cockpit related things. I think they simply expect you to be using the actual rear view mirror that is in the cockpit, and they don't offer you
Careful, there's been an accident. Watch out for stationary cars.
a virtual one again, just like with the gear indicator and RPM indicator on the HUD. Which they deactivate in the cockpit view.
them as soon as possible. Gap 3 ahead. Hold your line on the merge. Don't give the other car too much space.
AI punting me left and right.
They're getting away from us. Keep pushing. Okay, we need another 1.5 seconds to improve on that, so keep pushing.
Oh, come on. Yeah, at least the AI doesn't seem as annoying as it was, for me at least, in the original game. So that was at least a quick look at the rally cars. I guess it can be fun. Also, knowing the track layout definitely helps, as demonstrated. So I guess I'll just wrap it up here. We've been streaming for 2 hours now, which is actually more than I intended. There's obviously still a lot of things to explore. Apparently they are still doing these stuff options and stuff management and all that. I really could do without it. I don't need managing my stuff in a rally game, but I guess that's what they like to do. So yeah, is it a masterpiece, as Billy asked, alluding to the race department review that was apparently considered controversial. I'm not exactly sure if I would call it a masterpiece, but it is definitely it is not a revolution or anything, I think, from what I've seen so far. Bear in mind that I've really spent a short time on the game so far, so it obviously will take a lot more to explore it fully and test it out and get a feel for it. But the first impression is that it is more of an evolution, as the title itself suggests. It is not a groundbreaking new thing, but it is definitely a step. Well, I wanted to say step back, but that would not be appropriate. I think it is a step in a different direction let's say, than Dirt 4 was, which at least for me is definitely a very good thing. It is more of an evolution of the original Dirt Rally. It feels really good, which is again a good thing, because the cars can be driven as you would expect. The handling makes sense to me, even if probably it can be further tweaked using the tuning options. But it doesn't go against my expectations like the Dirt 4 handling did in the rally mode. It has to be said, because the rallycross handling was in Dirt 4 was completely different and was very good in my opinion. But the rally mode, my main interest was not good at all. Here in Dirt Rally 2.0, the rallycross handling and the rally handling feel like they come from the same game, definitely, not like two completely different games. Yeah, the cars can be driven using the throttle as you would expect. They have a certain weight to it, which was the issue that plagued the Rally original. They don't fly off to the moon on jumps like they did. I guess if we get the Finland stages in as part of the second DLC, which is somewhat expected that they will do it, because, even though they didn't really announce anything regarding the second DLC yet, then we'll have a side-by-side comparison of how the handling changed. Shame about the whole marketing thing and all that stuff. That really wasn't good handled well, in my opinion. I've mentioned that at the start of the stream, so I won't be repeating myself. And the biggest issue right now for me is definitely the force feedback. It's not broken, like some people say. It's very usable. You do get solid feedback on the handling of the car. It's just that compared to the original Dirt Rally title, it lost a lot of detail there. The road feel is not there, and it would be nice to be able to feel the ruts in the road, especially given that we now have track degradation. Feel the jumps. At least have an option. Right now there really isn't an option to dial that in. You know, I understand that some people don't like it, and that's fine. Obviously this is very subjective stuff, but it would be nice to have an option to dial it according to your preferences. Right now it just isn't there, and there's not much you can do about it, so that's not exactly great, in my opinion. So there's definitely the most space for improvement, or how would you say it? I'm stumbling on my words here. But apart from the force feedback, I really can't see any faults here. It is a solid title as far as what I've seen. It is a fun to drive, again, which is the most important thing, and I think I will spend quite a lot of time with Dirt Rally 2.0, just like I spent a lot of time with the original Dirt Rally. And I will definitely not be forcing myself to play it just to, I don't know, finish the career mode and to justify the price of the game somehow, like I did with Dirt 4. That was really I really was forcing myself there to at least complete the career, since I have the game. That I felt the obligation to at least finish it. Regarding the car handling, I would venture into a bit of controversial topic here, and I would say actually that I might at times, that's the important part, at times still prefer the handling of Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo or even WRC7. I know a lot of people consider these two games arcade, but especially the Sebastian Loeb Rally has a very, very good feeling of weight transfer and of weight to the cars that is still somewhat missing from this game, from the Rally 2.0. The same goes with WRC7. They might not have, the physics might not be as realistic as they are, but I don't really have a base to judge that accordingly, because obviously I have never driven a rally car on gravel. But going by what I expect, they feel like the car have solid weight, and you have to work with that weight. That's the things I've always liked on Sebastian Loeb Rally and on WRC7 as well, as much as people call it arcade and all that. And I think that might be something that is somewhat still missing in Dirt Rally 2. Even though it is much better, much improved than it was in the original Dirt Rally. I mean, the cars in the original Dirt Rally really felt like you are driving cars made out of paper. Here they definitely have weight, and it's just that in these two games that are considered more arcade, in Sebastian Loeb Rally and WRC7, that weight might be, you might have to work with it a bit more, so it is a bit more fun when you get it right. But I'm not saying it's more realistic. Again, that's, I have no way to judging that. So, and I'm definitely not saying that Rally 2.0 is bad in this regard. No, it's not. It's quite good. So yeah, if nobody has, if people don't have problems with the marketing and the pricing of the game, which I think might be on the high side a bit, I would probably like to see it a bit cheaper. I think the deluxe edition might be better priced at what the standard edition is currently. But then again, there are options on the internet. I'm not saying use them or not. And I don't mean piracy, by the way. That's not what I'm talking about. There are options how to get the game cheaper if you are fine with what that comes with, the moral gray areas and all that. Then I guess that's an option for you. But it is also not horribly overpriced. I don't think so. We'll see. We'll see how the DLC goes. If there announce more DLCs. That's also thing I am interested in. Definitely more so now that I know how the base game is. So I would definitely like to see more stages and have the lifetime of the game extended by DLC. I have no issue with buying DLC as long as the game is good. You know, the developers have to make money somehow, so why not? If they extend the game for us, doing so not just by offering the famous horse armor. Not that it was Codemasters, but it is the most famous thing related to DLC. And so yeah, I've talked long enough. I hope you enjoyed. I think I will end the stream now. Thank you for watching. It's been fun. I have had fun with the game and enjoyed it. I'll definitely play a lot more. And maybe even think about some streaming, but that's a complicated thing for me currently, so I'm not promising anything. Again, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Good night.